And we are live. So what is up, everybody? Welcome to Traffic Tuesdays. We are on traffic principle number 52. It is the last week in the year. And today we're going to be talking about value-based prospecting. So let's go ahead and jump into these slides here. And last week, if you guys remember, we talked about traffic temperatures. So the importance of understanding what temperature your traffic is when you're advertising to them. And this week, we're going to actually be talking about how to prospect and how to target cold traffic with value-based prospecting. So, by the way, give us a hashtag live if you're watching this live and a hashtag replay if you're watching the replay. Just let us know that you're watching this and we will get into today's training. So, with that being said, last week, one of the things we were talking about is that, one of the greatest mistakes that marketers make is trying to create demand, right? And so one of the things that I know, Michael, you experience a lot of times when working with clients is sometimes like people have a product or a service and they want to market it. They want to get more traffic, but they basically want to market as if they're marketing to warm traffic, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, a lot of people know that there's a problem awareness out there, and there's this problem that's happening, and the market knows that there's a problem, and they do have a solution, but they assume that just because they have the solution that's going to get them the most sales. And really, they kind of just have to warm up to that person so that they know that they're the right person.
Yeah, exactly. And so again, Eugene Schwartz here, he says you can't control demand necessarily. So even if you have the greatest product in the world, you can't control demand for that product. All you can do is connect the demand that actually exists and then connect that and tie it to your product through your copywriting and your advertising when you show up in front of people. And so that's why today we're actually going to be talking about how to do that, how to create value-based prospecting for cold traffic, and how to create expert awareness for cold traffic.
Yeah. So I think that, one of the biggest importance of building value with cold traffic is, one, it builds trust with you and the person, and establishes you as an expert. It allows you to have more touches with them to kind of warm up the audience to you. And we can use it in a way where it allows us to retarget people who've engaged with the content. So I want to show you kind of like this diagram and this workflow of how this whole process can happen. So on the left where it says value-based. So whether it's a video or an image or some type of content that provides value. Now, typically we do suggest the video format because it just allows you to be more engaging. It puts you in the camera so they can visually see you, and it's not this, it allows it to be more warm from there. So when you're publishing this, specifically through the paid traffic, there's people who are going to engage in it. So there's people who are going to like it. There's people who are going to comment it. And with a video, they watch a certain percentage of it. Some watch half of it. Some watch the whole thing. And the people that engage inside of all the platforms allow you to build what they call custom audiences. So in this case, we're using Facebook. So we're going to create a custom audience in Facebook that happened from people who've engaged. So as this audience begins to build, now we can retarget them directly with a lead magnet because you've established that it's what you have to say they are engaging with, so they find it important. So you send them to a lead magnet, and then that sends them basically to a sales page. Now, two things happen. Either they say yes and become this new customer, which we can create lookalike audiences off of that, or they say no, and it's still this other audience that we can now retarget, but maybe we need to figure out some more value that we need to give them. So oftentimes, if we're retargeting based on people who said no to a lead magnet, we're saying, all right, what objections could they have that we can put in an ad format so that we can run them through that piece too. So that's what this part is.
That is awesome. That is like a really powerful framework. Give us a hashtag cold traffic or something. Give us a hashtag framework if that is really valuable to you. And if this makes a lot of sense, because basically you have to, first you want to focus on creating engagement with your audience. And then the platforms allow you to create custom audiences. And from there, we're going to be showing you how you can set up a lead magnet and basically organizing your traffic and engagement to ultimately result in new customers. So that is awesome. And there's basically 3 steps to break this diagram down. There's basically 3 steps that you can go through to make this work for your business.
Yeah. So step 1 is like you want to create that value-based content, right? So what can you give that establishes you as an expert and gives them value so that they like have this epiphany of, oh, this guy, I want more. And then from there, step 2 is like we talked about, building the custom audience. And the custom audience, again, is built based on engagement. And then we use step 3, retargeting, to kind of retarget those who've engaged, which gives you a higher conversion rate. And all in all, this is like a very good way to be the most efficient when it comes to low cost and higher conversions.
Yeah, awesome. And so the first step of this is to create value-based videos or content, right? But in this case, we're going to be talking about videos. But basically what this does is this allows you to, as Michael said, be more efficient with your outreach. So you can basically choosing the objective of video views for your ad campaign versus conversions is much cheaper. And so at this step, you're basically just looking for that initial engagement so that you can create a custom audience and find the people who are going to be most likely to want to buy your product rather than just going for conversions right out the gate, right? And so the first step here is you want to record your videos, make your creative, and you want to include expert tips, and you want to focus on the 80-20 rule with this. So you want to give 80% value, and then 20% of the video or the content should be a strong call to action to engage with your content. And so that is step number 1.
And with step number 2, what we're going to do is inside of your Facebook Business Manager, you go into audiences and you create a new audience based on the sources of video. And this allows you to, if you can see there, you have a lot of options, right? So you can, create, a custom audience based on if they watch 3 seconds, if they watch 10 seconds, a through play is like 15 seconds, or you can base it off a percentage. So it could either be 25% of the video, 50% of the video, and so on. So you really get to determine how warm you want the audience to be, because maybe you're going to say, all right, well, anybody who watched 25% or more, I can retarget them if they don't take the lead magnet. So this is how you exactly build the audiences.
That is super awesome. That is really powerful too, because you can determine where you want the percentage of watch time to be when you're creating your custom audience. And so you can basically, if your call to action starts at like the 75% mark, then you can even target that specifically. So anybody who made it to the last quarter of your video, like they're going to be warm, and you can create a specific custom audience for that. So that is really cool. And then the third step here is you want to create a retargeting campaign to a lead magnet, right? And so a lead magnet is something that you're giving in exchange for their email address or contact information. And it's something that they want based on what they just saw in the ad, right? And so the power here is that you can actually retarget to that exact custom audience that you created. And the goal for this step is to get opt-ins, right? Again, you're still not optimizing for the conversion or the purchase. Really, you're just growing your list and you're getting people to say yes to the value that you're providing. So really the advantage here is that by the time that they opt in, you now have warm traffic and you are the expert. So the value of this framework that we're sharing is basically this is a predictable way to take cold traffic and move it into warmer traffic. And once they opt in, they're a warmer lead. And now you can start marketing to them as if they, you can give them more specific messages about yourself and your product specifically. And so this is where typically people want to start out when they do paid advertising, is just talking about how their product benefits people. But with this framework, you have a way of predictably having control over this process, so that even if when you're starting with cold traffic, you can predictably get people into warmer traffic so that you can actually start talking about your actual product, which is really powerful when you go into retargeting campaigns.
Yeah, and really at the end of that whole piece of it, it's like you are going to have higher conversions at a lower cost, because
Yeah.
they know who you are, and you still may need a few more touches, but it's not all these extra touches that you need.
Yeah, exactly. And so just to reiterate again, the steps of executing this cold audience framework are basically, you want to create value-based content. Well, I guess step zero, the first thing you want to do is recognize that you don't want to go and start talking about your specific product. That's not the way to do outreach, right? So instead, recognize that you have to outreach to cold traffic. And then in order to do that, what you want to do is step one, create value-based content around the value that you can provide. Create your custom audiences from the people who engaged with your value-based content. And then you can create your lead magnet, and you can create creative or different videos to retarget to that custom audience. And that is going to be a much more efficient way of getting opt-ins and getting leads for a lot less expensive than if you were to just start talking about your product to a cold audience, right? So anything else to add about all this, Michael?
I think that's it. I think if you have more questions, please reach out to us, and we are more than happy to answer them. Join us again for next week, as we give you more new tactics that you guys can use to make sure that your ads run really well.
Yeah. So thanks so much for watching, you guys. See you next Tuesday, and we'll